Hey everyone, my name is Robert Broome and I'm the founder of Mooskie. After spending my entire career working for bar brands including RX Bar and Clio Snacks, I finally took the leap of faith and started my own at the beginning of this year. The product is a chilled oat bar dipped in dark chocolate. It's a first of its kind fresh granola bar. We have 3 flavors, peanut butter banana, chocolate peanut crunch, and cookie dough, all of which are vegan and gluten-free. Our SRP is $2.99 per bar, and we're currently sold in stores primarily in the San Diego area. But creating a fresher, cleaner granola bar was not always the plan. The original idea was to create an overnight oat bar, and that picture right there with some very ugly looking bars is the first iteration of Mooskie I ever worked on. I'm pretty sure I'm in my boxer shorts right there, but it didn't take me too long to realize that traditional overnight oats were way too runny to form into a bar. And so I pivoted and tapped into my Swiss roots instead and used Swiss-style Berkshire muesli as the base of the recipe. It's a cold oatmeal dish I grew up eating, and the thicker consistency of muesli is just what I needed in order to firm up the bars enough so I could encapsulate them in chocolate. And after hundreds of iterations, muesli in a bar turned into the first ever Mooskie bar. But it wasn't until I really started getting some product feedback that I realized what the true functionality and purpose of the bars was. I would hear over and over again that they tasted like a fresher granola bar. And so that's when it dawned on me that we really had the opportunity to reinvent and in many ways modernize the antiquated granola bar category by bringing granola bars from the pantry to the fridge. So how do we stack up against your typical granola bar? Well, first and foremost, we don't use preservatives. We're chilled for freshness, whereas the entire granola bar category is shelf-stable, and oftentimes, a lot of them will use some form of preservative. We use chocolate as a vehicle to hold our oat mixture together, whereas your typical granola bar will use a large amount of binder syrups to kind of stick everything together. We also, if you guys were able to try the bars, have this soft, unique overnight oat-like texture compared to that drier, staler texture that's so synonymous with granola bars. And lastly, because we use a fair amount of water in our formulas due to the soaked oats component, we're able to have lower sugar and calories than your typical granola bar. And so we developed a very clear value proposition that was rooted in consumer feedback. And the next question is, well, how big can this opportunity be? And when you look at the market research data out there, the size of prize looks really promising for Mooskie. When you look at macro snacking trends, we hit on the top 3 attributes consumers consider when choosing a snack. Convenience, freshness, and indulgence. But most importantly, 90% of consumers consider freshness when choosing a snack. So by positioning Mooskie bars as this fresher granola bar alternative, we're able to appeal to a massive audience of granola bar snackers. The category did over $3 billion last year who until now haven't had that fresher option. And then when you drill down into the bar category itself, the number 1 factor consumers consider when trying a new bar is whether or not it contains oats or oatmeal. And this is taken from the latest Mintel Bar report. They actually go a step further and say replicating the texture of prepared oatmeal appears to be the next iteration of the trend, which is exactly what we're doing with Mooskie. And so all of this bodes really well for us at Mooskie, but quite honestly doesn't mean anything unless we're getting real results. So we're happy to say that so far consumers have loved the product. They've fallen in love with the taste and the texture of it. And it's still very early on, but we've seen a target market emerge of women ages 18 to 50 with 2 subsegments. Young professionals like Gail, who's a nurse at UCSD, who her colleagues are worried she's going to turn into a Mooskie bar because she's eaten so many of them. And moms like Dana. And this consumer obsession has translated into really strong sales results. We just got our hands on our first SPINS data ever, and we're turning almost 6 units per store per week per SKU, which puts us right up there with the top players in the category. And because of these strong velocities, we're able to get multiple facings on shelf, which is pretty unique and rare for a small brand. And so to sum everything up, we feel really good about our ability to not just disrupt the granola bar category, but the bar category in general, and we think we can be a major player in fresh snacking for the foreseeable future. Thanks.
You can hold on to that. Thanks. Amit, Robert showed some pretty compelling data at the end there, and I'm wondering, do you think Mooskie is that product that can teach people to shop for that granola bar in the cold case?
Well, I think as Robert said, people are looking for freshness. They are looking, and they are going to the fresh cold case for snacks. It's obviously a category that's been growing over the last 10 years, and there's more and more space being made for it. So I think what I like about it is, versus maybe some of the others in the space, which have just copied the market leader,
Yep.
I think it's truly different. Frankly, we all tasted it, and then when I finished lunch, I had another bar, and so definitely I can see the consumer attraction to the brand. It felt like I liked the texture of it.
Thank you.
I do think that cold chain is a difficult supply chain issue,
Yeah.
and it's a very crowded and dense space. So if you don't deliver on those metrics, very quickly do you get discontinued from a retailer. So just being able to continue to drive awareness and pull through is going to be very important.
Yep. 100%.
Twee, as a retailer, how are you evaluating this opportunity?
Yeah, well, I mean, because it's cold chain, it's a little harder for Thrive at the moment. So, but maybe in the future. But I think that when I looked at the bar, I actually thought it was more of a kids bar because the packaging was pretty simple. It wasn't calling out any health benefits. It was just granola bar for kids. So when you said your market was women ages 18 to 30 or something, that surprised me. So when you're doing your marketing, are you aiming it more towards women? What does your marketing look like?
No, that's a great question. I think broad strokes, what I'm trying to do with Mooskie as a brand is create a vegan, plant-based, natural foods product that doesn't feel pretentious, feels welcoming, feels playful. And so I think we knew in the back of our minds that we were going to appeal to moms and kids, but as we started to get the product out there, we started to realize that these young professionals were loving the product too. And so you guys didn't get to see, probably fortunately, the older packaging, but it was even more kind of kiddie. And so we've started to kind of iterate the brand and kind of looked at the moose, kind of made it a little more mature, kind of like Sunbum-esque. And so we're working on trying to find the balance between appealing to moms, but not being a kid line per se, so we can appeal to all ages. Yeah.
Thank you.
Jason, is this something where consumers are going to require some education to understand what this product is, or do you think it's something where it's pretty evident what they're trying to do with Mooskie?
I think it's pretty evident. I think, as I'm listening to the way you're positioning it as a disruptor to the granola bar, I kind of question that only because, if I think about, when I was a kid, digging through my backpack and finding a smashed granola bar in there and still being excited about it. That's one of those things that you're not going to be able to do with this type of bar, and it almost feels like you're finding incrementality for the addressable market.
Yeah.
Because there is going to be those kids that are going to be outside running around. They have the granola bar as a snack that they could take with them, and this is going to be something that is going to be perishable. It's not going to be something you really have to almost plan to go to your fridge and have that as a kid. So it's not going to sit well in a lunch pack, whatever. So. I think it's a super interesting concept and great tasting bar. So
thank
congrats.
you. And one quick thing on that is because I worked at Clio Snacks, I was in the refrigerated bar space. I kind of looked honestly at Perfect Bar a lot, and I was like, what were they able to do? I like to study the brands that have been really successful, and I saw that they created a fresher version of a protein bar, and so I looked at the same category, refrigerated bars, and no one had created a fresher version of the massive granola bar category. And so I hear you. I think there are some things to work through in terms of messaging and making sure that usage occasion works for the target consumer. But yeah, totally agree there.
How long can you go on the go?
We think about up to 8 hours. The other thing is the product can be stored frozen. So the shelf life is 100 days when it hits refrigerated temperatures, but that's kind of like a nice little thing that we can store it frozen, so if you were to put it in your kid's lunchbox, it can kind of thaw out through the morning hours and then be good by the time you're ready for lunch. So
you're slacking it out?
Yeah, we're slacking it out, exactly.
Yeah,
good point about the backpack.
Good stuff. Very well done, Robert. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Many memories going back.
That's great.